Welcome to Monday Evening with Alex and Luke, episode 10.
We're here in Orange Beach, Alabama. We just arrived. We're right on the Gulf Coast where the oil spill is being cleaned up. We're not quite sure what's going on as we just arrived here, but it took us a long time to get here this week.
We spent a lot of this week, actually the entire week, in Florida, which seems like a long time.
And it was a long time. Probably too long a time.
Probably.
But that's how we spent this week. We started off the week in Miami Beach.
And then from Miami, we were voted down to Key West, which is the most southern point that we will be going on this trip.
So we drove all through the Florida Keys, then all the way back out to Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, and then from there we had a brief stop in Orlando because we dropped off our special guest.
Yeah, we know it didn't win the vote. We didn't go there. We just dropped someone off at the airport.
We didn't see anything. We just stayed overnight to drop her off. And then from there we had a really long drive over to Pensacola, and now we're here on the Gulf Coast.
Our favorite sleep this week is where we recorded last week's episode of Monday Evening with Alex and Luke, and that's the Mondrian Hotel in Miami.
Yeah, for me, it takes the top prize for accommodations on the trip so far, if not in my entire life.
Yeah.
What a spectacular hotel.
We had an ocean view, beautiful room, beautiful balcony.
Really funky.
If we stay in a hotel nicer than that on the trip, I'll be shocked.
I'll be really surprised.
Good job, Mondrian.
Yeah, you're killing it.
If you don't go to the Mondrian Hotel, no, you should go though. Go check it out. At least check out the website. It's right there.
Our favorite meal this week also happened in Miami.
It was suggested by @SometimeSIseen on Twitter and is also a featured spot in Goala. It's a Cuban restaurant called Versailles in a non-touristy area of Miami.
Definitely. Pretty random place, but definitely worth it.
The best Cuban food I've ever had in my life.
Beans and yellow rice and chicken, and we had our guest Ashley with us. She loved it. We had such a good time before we headed off to the Keys.
Yep, if you go, you have to eat the plantains.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what plantains are, go check
Versailles.
it out.
Our favorite attraction this week was something that was definitely suggested on Twitter, but it was also somewhere that our guest Ashley really wanted to go.
Ernest Hemingway's home.
In Key West.
Was a wonderful place to go. I had no idea that Ernest Hemingway had a home in Key West.
I did. But nevertheless, it was really cool to visit it. What I didn't know was that there were 47 cats on the property.
It didn't have air conditioning. It was very hot.
It was too hot.
But it was overrun with cats.
Too many cats.
And some of the cats had too many claws.
Many toes.
Yeah.
And yet, it was still our favorite attraction.
I loved it. My favorite city this week, by far, is Key West. Key West is good.
I love that to get there, you have to drive through the Keys over these long bridges, next to these beautiful beaches, beautiful water.
And then when you get there, there's all sorts of tiki bars and open-air restaurants and people fishing.
You can walk around with drinks in your hand.
Yeah, or at least everyone was. And everyone's on scooters. We didn't get a scooter, which kind of bummed me out. We didn't have enough money for fishing, not enough money for scooters.
We didn't really do anything there.
But we sat and watched.
It was hot. Our favorite moment this week happened on the drive up from Key West. We stopped at a beach.
At the Bahia Honda State Park.
It was so nice to just jump in the ocean, and we had Ashley with us, and you found a crab.
I did.
It's just so nice to go swimming in unpolluted waters. I think this week will be a bit different than that.
What did you learn this week?
I learned that there are cats out there with 6 toes.
I learned that Ernest Hemingway has a home in Key West.
I learned that Ernest Hemingway had a lot of wives.
I learned that Florida has a panhandle.
I learned that it's so hot here.
I learned that it's too hot here. That concludes our all Florida and just the titch of Alabama episode of Alex and Luke, episode 10.
Yeah.
Catch us next week after we explore the Gulf Coast for a week.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting episode.
Probably not as happy.
We'll see. See you next week.
alexandluke.com